Tonight in Minneapolis, volleyball royalty will do battle for the NCAA crown. The defending champion Nebraska Cornhuskers came back from the brink in their semifinal against the Fighting Illini on Thursday night to win in 5 behind Kenzie Maloney and two-time tournament MVP Michaela Fecky. For the Stanford Cardinal, they're loose. The #1 overall seeds had an easy time with BYU in their semifinal and are led by the two-time National Player of the Year, Kathryn Plummer. Who will make their forever tonight in Minneapolis? Will it be Stanford or Nebraska? We'll find out next. ESPN proudly presents the NCAA Women's Volleyball Championship. A sellout crowd on hand once again at the Target Center. It's the defending champion, the Nebraska Cornhuskers, taking on the Stanford Cardinal. Hi again, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us. Really looking forward to a good one with my partner, Karch Kirai. I'm Paul Sunderland. Holly Rowe will join us momentarily. Two storied programs playing for a singular championship in that crown. Are we ready and in place, Karch, for a classic?
I think so. This could be epic. On the one hand, you have Stanford going for an unprecedented 8th title. They almost ran the table. The only team they lost to, BYU, they shellacked them in the rematch in the semis. On the other side, Nebraska, for the first time ever, as much success as they've had, they've never made 4 semifinals in a row. They did the other day.
Offensive stars abound. They'll be getting most of the headlines, but maybe the most exciting player in college volleyball plays defense for the Cardinal.
And she's going to need to be huge tonight. She plays that cross-court defense. Stanford gives her over half the court to cover. There's going to be a lot of heat coming at her from the Nebraska side of the net. And then, of course, not only is she making those first contacts, but you have in the middle there Kathryn Plummer, two-time now National Player of the Year, and Jenna Gray and Adriana Fitzmaurice. Those 4 as freshmen 2 years ago won a national title, looking for a second one.
All right, let's talk about the Nebraska Cornhuskers. For the 4th year in a row to the championship round, but there was some doubt, no question, in November when this team lost 5 out of 7 matches. How did they turn it around to get to this title match?
There was doubt right through the whole program, right up to Coach Cook, but they turned it around early November at home, down 2-1 against another legendary program, Penn State, and have not turned back. Probably the most improved team in the country.
And the pair that has done it for Nebraska like no other in terms of their leadership has been libero Kenzie Maloney, along once again with two-time tournament most outstanding player Michaela Fecky.
Yeah, Coach Cook calls them a package deal, and they've had more success than any other players for Nebraska. A lot of those first contacts on defense by Maloney and Fecky terminating.
21-1 for Kenzie Maloney and Michaela Fecky at the NCAA tournament. Unprecedented in Nebraska volleyball history, which is obviously saying an awful lot. Let's go down to Holly Rowe for more.
Well, those are the 2 team captains for Nebraska, and never was their leadership more important than here on Thursday night in the national semifinal. They were down 2-0 against Illinois, and they were points away from elimination in set number 3 when Kenzie Maloney, the senior, jumped into the huddle and got after her teammates. Her passionate discussion turned their match around. And then in that decisive 5th set, it was Michaela Fecky, hands intertwined with her teammates, asking everyone to take a deep breath before that 5th set. They found the calm in that moment to move on and win and fight for a national championship. These 2 seniors have meant everything to this program. They're a package deal, and boy, are they magnificent.
Holly, thank you very much. Let's take a look at the starting lineups. First for the Nebraska Cornhuskers.
Hi, I'm Sammy Slaughter. I'm an outside from the defending champs of the University of Nebraska, and this is my team. Nicklin Hames, setter, also known as our QB. Lexi Sun, outside, silent but deadly. Kenzie Maloney, libero, aka Pippi. Jazz Sweet, right side, sweet to us, but not the other team. Michaela Fecky, outside, our super whacker. Capri Davis, outside, our 1K wonder. Callie Swartzen, block, middle. Lauren Sibrins, middle, but don't get too close, she might bite.
Hi, my name is Peyton Chang. I'm a senior setter for Stanford University. My favorite food is avocado toast, and this is my squad goals. Deep in the heart of Texas, we have Holly Campbell at middle blocker. Jenna Gray eats butter, sets butter. DS Kate Formica, you can call her Coco. Outside hitter and huge baseball girl, Kathryn Plummer. Megan Mcclure, the in-and-out queen. Audrina Fitzmaurice from Kansas, the breadbasket of the nation. Middle blocker, Tammy Alade. Steph Curry, if you're watching, she loves you. And Morgan Hentz, our Cotton Eye Mo as libero.
And we are set to go here in Minneapolis for the national championship. Stanford is the higher seed. They will wear their home uniforms. Surprisingly, Karch, going back through the history, this is only the second time that these two storied programs have met for the national championship. It was previously in 2006. Jordan Larson led the Cornhuskers to the championship over Stanford. Set to go, best 3 out of 5 sets. On the slide, and Holly Campbell, the 6'4" freshman out of Austin, Texas, with the first point on the board. Karch, what are you looking for to set the tone for either of these teams early in the match?
Well, first, the thing we're looking for is, remember, both teams can start with any one of their 6 players on the floor serving. Both teams have changed a little in an effort to get the best matchup blocking-wise. So Kathryn Plummer, the National Player of the Year, #2 in white for Stanford, started at left front, so they get her more front court time. Nebraska does the same thing with their star #2 on her jersey, and that is left front right now, Michaela Fecky.
Sydney Wilson with the early ace. And Schwarzenbach nicely out of the middle. Callie Schwarzenbach, 6'5" freshman out of Kearney, Missouri, able to put the ball away. There is Maloney at the service line for the first time. We're going to see a lot of long rallies between these two teams. Really quality at the defensive end, really good soft touch. To Stivrins, quickly no, out to Fecky, her first swing down the line and good.
Wow, Michaela Fecky working so hard, and she's going to have to do a lot of that. She'll come down and turn and run. We call that transition, going from block and defense to offense. And she saw some nice daylight down the line for that kill.
Plummer going one-on-one and sprays the ball out of bounds, looking for a touch. We have the video replay system, of course, for this championship. Each team gets 3 challenges. You can challenge touch, ball in or out. And Kevin Hambley not happy about that. He thought it was an obvious touch, and because the rules dictate that if you use a challenge, even if you're proven correct, you lose it, and you only have 3. And a lot of at least the people on the Stanford sideline thought that there was clearly a touch. So you have to burn a challenge early.
We've only played 5 points of this match, and he's already having to call one. Very frustrated, because whether he wins or loses this challenge, he'll only have 2 unless he gets 1 extra one if this match goes 5 sets. The other thing is, not a great contact on that swing by Kathryn Plummer. Looking like she's trying to do too much, and so she hit backspin on that ball. That's not a well-hit, a well-driven ball on attack.
Another look at it.
Oh, that doesn't look like it hit anything on the way out.
The video replay system has had a big impact on this championship so far.
You'll also notice there was only 1 blocker against Kathryn Plummer. Nebraska sending 2 blockers the other way. I'm not sure you want to leave the National Player of the Year one-on-one very often.
Like never again in this match.
Well, it worked that time.
It
she
did.
hit out, and if she makes poor, oh, maybe they're claiming a touch in the backcourt.
Well, there was. It appeared clear that there was not a touch at the net against Jazz Sweet, but maybe in the backcourt. Watch Lexi's son. Watch her left arm. Again, it has to be conclusive, and I alluded to the fact that the video replay system had such an impact on this tournament. Remember, in the 5th set, Michaela Fecke hit a ball that was ruled off of a blocker for Illinois, and that gave them the 13-11 advantage.
Originally,
yes, instead of 12-all.
Originally, she hit out,
yes,
which led to a 12-all score. Got reversed on a controversial call, and all of a sudden, Nebraska goes up 13-11, wins the last 2 points, and finishes out the match.
And then remember, in the match between the Oregon Ducks and the Minnesota Golden Gophers, the Golden Gophers, the number 2 seed, thought they had won the 2nd set on a pancake, which was overturned by video replay, and eventually Oregon won that set 41-39, went on and pulled off the biggest upset of the tournament,
which then cleared the path for Nebraska at the 7 seed. A little easier route for them, because Nebraska didn't have to play Minnesota, a 1 loss in the Big Ten team, didn't have to play Minnesota on its home floor.
So after very close video review, it was inconclusive. Ball was neither touched at the net or by Lexi Sun in the back row, so Kenzie Maloney will continue to serve. Nebraska up 3-2.
That's a better contact and 2 blockers for Nebraska.
Jazz Sweet, who put away match point against Illinois. Nicely done into the cross court.
It starts with that cross-court defense. We'll see Kenzie Maloney in the red jersey for Nebraska, and Morgan Hentz, who's passing this ball, the first contact for Stanford. Don't want to serve Morgan Hentz. I don't think that was a good choice. They scored 2 points, not serving her.
There is John Cook, 3 times the National Coach of the Year in his 19th year at Nebraska, looking for his 5th national title. Jenna Gray, the setter for Stanford, back to serve for the first time. Jazz Sweet. Her numbers during the NCAA tournament are just skyrocketing. 205 on the year, just under 300 so far in the tournament. Kevin Hambley in just his 2nd season on the sideline for Stanford University, the Pac-12 Coach of the Year, after spending 8 years building the program at the University of Illinois. Nebraska doing a really good job on Plummer to start. That ball ripped into the cross court. Not even Morgan Hentz could control that.
Nor could Tammy Alade block it, and she racked up the blocks the other night against BYU going inside. See, Alade, do you see how she reached to her right? She needs to reach the other way and take that cross court. That's Fecke's favorite shot.
That ball served out of bounds. You alluded to the blocking performance of the Stanford Cardinal. They had 17 stuff blocks against BYU, and Tammy Alade had her hand in 14 of those 17. 13 block assists, 1 solo. That is crazy numbers.
And they're going to need a great performance from her against Fecke. Fecke, who's been so good for Nebraska 4 straight years in the NCAA tournament.
Mention what Jazz Sweet was doing. Michaela Fecke even better as she goes back to serve. Hit 390 so far in the tournament. Early lead for Nebraska. One of the best servers in the game.
Looking to serve cross court to Plummer. Nice pass.
Nebraska really playing some good defense right now. Fecke out of the back row. Not great heat on that. Plummer not ready. Kathryn Plummer is off to a slow start here, Cart. She missed her first swing and is yet to get on the board.
Paul, she was approaching, but her shoe, something happened with her traction, and she, I think, made the wise decision and felt too much stress on her ankle, so she just stayed down, but she could have gotten that ball over the net.
Ball cannot be saved, and the serving from Fecke once again paying dividends. Let's see where Nebraska wants to go, Cart.
Yeah, the best passer is Morgan Hentz in the different colored jerseys. Second best is Megan Mcclure, so they want to go after Kathryn Plummer. It's the same thing for Nebraska. The most efficient passer is Kenzie Maloney. Next is Michaela Fecky, then Lexi Sun. It's kind of like in basketball. You don't want to foul the free throw shooter who's the best at the line.
The X is the no-go zone. The two-time National Player of the Year, Kathryn Plummer, off to a very, very slow start offensively. Really good serving by Michaela Fecky, the 6'3" senior out of West Point, Iowa. Stanford can't put a ball away. Nice block by Alade. Mcclure again looking for a hole in the block. Really good touch by Stivrins, but a net violation is going to be called against Nebraska. Look, Kathryn Plummer, National Freshman of the Year, back-to-back Player of the Year nationally. If you're Stanford, if you're Jenna Gray, how do you get her started and feeling a little more comfortable in this championship?
Well, I think they're going to have to distribute the ball a little more. They've sometimes been overly dependent on Plummer. And she's going to got to work her into some better spots. To me, it looks like Plummer is trying to do a little too much. Give her a little time to settle down and play her normal Player of the Year game.
Holly?
You know, we spoke with Kevin Hambley about that, the Stanford coach, at practice today, and he said, you know, we have won matches where she didn't have her best match, and I think that's taken some of the weight off her shoulders. She knows we can win without her, so they can weather this storm, but they definitely want to get her going.
Nice set.
Off-speed shot. Lexi Sun pulled the string on that, just a little bit short. Kate Formica, 5'9" sophomore out of Saratoga, California. Volleyball runs closely and deeply in her family. The cousin of Carrie Walsh did not play well in the semifinals. She is a defensive and passing specialist and really struggled.
Oh, that's an easy play. Don't want to put that to Hentz.
Campbell down the line, dug by Maloney. Plummer registers her first kill. Boy, Nebraska is really passing nicely here. Fecky through the seam, out of the back row. Early offensive advantage certainly goes to Michaela Fecky with her second kill. Nebraska 6 of 15. Stanford only 4 of 16.
And notice it's not blocking that Nebraska is hurting Stanford with right now. It's their phenomenal defense. As you mentioned, it's just really tough to get the ball to the floor. There is a better swing by Mcclure, but most everything's come up on the Nebraska side of the net and allowed them to transition and get quality swings.
Saw John Cook signaling number 1, that is area number 1, the service cross-court area. We will signal every serving attempt by Nebraska. Here is Mcclure. Good soft touch by Nebraska. Campbell hammering on the slide, number 3 in white. Holly Campbell very quietly was 4 of 7 the other night in the semifinal sweep of BYU. Doesn't draw a lot of attention, but she can put the ball to the floor. Timeout called by Nebraska. Nice little mini run here by Stanford to get back in this opening set. Target Center folks work very quickly. A beautiful facility to host these national championships. Now let's take a look at the Capital One Cup standings. These are updated as teams compete for a combined $400,000 in student athlete scholarships from Capital One. The winning team, the volleyball championship, will receive 60 points towards the Capital One Cup. Coming out of the timeout, Jenna Gray back at the line. attempted save by Morgan Hentz. And Capri Davis, who had a huge kill in the 5th set, just her one swing out on the left side, Cards, kill in the 5th set against Illinois, comes through again to get Nebraska out of that rotation. Here is Lexi Sun, 6'2", sophomore, transfer from the University of Texas. Nice rip into the cross court. So starting 0 for 5, Kathryn Plummer now solidly in the book with her 2nd kill.
And here's a good look at that rotation we showed you earlier. Lexi Sun on the right. Don't want to serve here, serve there. You can make different players work, but Lexi Sun is probably the one. And there you got the ace. She is the person who is the least efficient at this skill. The other thing you could do is serve cross court to Michaela Fecke, just because she's a workout horse and you want to make her carry as heavy of a load as possible. Now you see Maloney pinching over and taking more court.
Snap over the top of the block by Michaela Fecke. That ends a 7-3 run by the Stanford Cardinal. Nebraska leading this opening set 13-11. The libero Maloney back at the line once again, out of Louisville, Kentucky. Made the all-tournament team last year when Nebraska beat the University of Florida 3-1 in the final. That ball stuffed absolutely straight down. Jazz Sweet with a roof.
A sweet one. Remember, Nebraska left her alone. Sweet. Look at those hands and Stivrins behind her. You want to reach as far over into opponent's airspace as possible. Well executed by Nebraska.
Plummer going off speed, and Fecke all over that. Turns it crossbody. Michaela Fecke off to a fabulous start now with 5 kills.
This is a really tough rotation for Stanford, because their middle, Tammy Alade, that is not good at hitting the slide, not good at running off one leg, so she can't spread out the defense.
3-0 run here for Maloney and Nebraska. Back to Plummer, who's blocked again, but that will be take it away. A net violation. Net violation is going to be called against Nebraska. Boy, that is a really big break for the Stanford Cardinal.
Yes, Stanford did not get the matchup that they wanted. Nebraska did. They have Sweet against Plummer at the net in that rotation where the ball is going to go to Plummer a very high percentage of the time.
15-12 advantage for the Cornhuskers, who are passing the ball exceptionally well. Jazz Sweet once again. You look at her numbers, Karch, on the year. 205. Tough conference, okay. But she's hitting 295 in the tournament and put away the final point in the semifinal against Illinois.
It's like Michaela Fecke version 2. Fecke Maloney 52-2 in the months of November and December in their career.
Megan Miller on to serve and play some defense. Fecke going off speed. That ball made contact with the antenna, so immediately ruled out of bounds. Stanford ball. Kathryn Plummer, 6'6" junior out of Aliso Niguel, California. On the year, just about 5 kills per set, hitting just under 300.
Nebraska likes this matchup. Stivrins against a smaller blocker, Mcclure. Success.
Stivrins on the off speed, and a rare miss at a dig opportunity for Morgan Hentz.
Yep, now across the net, the person you want to avoid is Morgan Hentz. Probably want to make National Player of the Year Kathryn Plummer receive this ball more often. That goes to Hentz instead. It didn't go cross court enough.
Both teams settle down a little bit, Karch, passing the ball right on target. And Adriana Fitzmaurice, who had 11 kills against BYU on Thursday night, Also at 6'6", the junior from Overland Park, Kansas, comes through.
And they say what a shutdown blocker she is, and she really did a fine job on Ronnie Jones-Perry for BYU. And there's the kind of block that she came up with time and time again. But what Stanford really wants is they want Fitzmaurice not on Lexi's son, but on the big gun for Nebraska, Michaela Fecke. They didn't get the matchup they wanted.
Well, they will have a second chance to turn the dial in set number 2, but they're focused right here on the opening set. Out of system here for Lexi's son, well off the net, going off speed. Not a good dig by Kathryn Plummer. Right on top of the net to Stivrins, who takes it straight down.
That is not a player of the year type play. This is a half-speed swing by Lexi's son. Very easy defensive play. Plummer, Paul, I'm sorry, but you could land a helicopter over there. There's so much court. You got to keep that little circle inside the big square.
Here is Densberger, who misses the ball out of bounds. Nebraska has been superb defensively. Nicklin Hames had 19 digs in the semifinal, as did Megan Miller. Add to that the defensive prowess of Fecke along with Sun, who had 12 and 11 digs respectively. Morgan Hentz deservedly gets a lot of the headlines for the work she does, digging balls off the top of the tape. And Nicklin Hames reacted quickly, but could not keep that ball off the floor. But Nebraska as a team is just superb at the defensive end.
They sure are. They're making Stanford work for it. I love what Hames did on that play. Setters, that's a fine detail of the game that counts. Keep your eye on the ball, and when it hits the net cord, you play it up. Tough serving from Stanford, pulling it back in.
Kate Formica again, who really struggled, and we talked to Kevin Hambley about it at Serve and Pass today, but a 5-1 run, 4 aces for Stanford. Tied at 18.
There's what Hentz does best.
Dug right on target. Plummer off speed, but gets a break. Misplayed by Schwarzenbach, the freshman middle blocker. Timeout is going to be called by Nebraska. Very streaky opening set. 7-2 run by Nebraska to take the advantage. And now Stanford comes right back with a 6-1 run of their own to force a timeout for the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Let's go over to Holly Rowe.
Well, it's very unusual for Nebraska to be in this national championship with a freshman setter. Why? Because they've never had a freshman setter start for them in Nebraska history. All Nicklin Hames has done is break a legendary record set by one of their all-time greats. She has more double-doubles in her career than Jordan Larson. Like, just think about that. She has been unstoppable. She's been composed. And you guys just mentioned it. She has been so steady. She does things. She keeps her eye on the ball. She's the daughter of a coach by 2 coaches out of Tennessee with the K2 program there. And she's been playing volleyball since she was 7 years old. She seems very comfortable for the Nebraska Cornhuskers on this very big stage.
24 double-doubles. That is a Nebraska record and growing each and every match. And she passed the great one, Jordan Larson, one of the greatest players in the history, if not the greatest Nebraska player of all time.
And remember, they were swirling down the vortex in October, losing 5 out of 7. But a big part of their improvement, turning it around with that win against Penn State, was the fact that Nicklin Hames made some major improvement as a freshman. Coach Cook gives her a lot of the credit for the turnaround this team's made and the improvement they've had since in those last 2 months, November and December.
Here is Formica again. Call the timeout, try to freeze the server, but Kate Formica on a really nice run for the Cardinal. Schwarzenbach comes right back on the slide. Number 25, the 6'5" freshman. A really, really good job growing into this role. One of the best blockers in all of the Big Ten.
Yeah, both freshman middles so far, not only having nice matches tonight early, but strong NCAA tournaments in their first campaign.
That's a mistake with a serve, isn't it, Karch?
It is. Don't want to put it on Morgan Hentz, and you don't want to give a pass where Stanford can set their freshman middle. We just mentioned her, Holly Campbell, who is, again, having a great freshman season, but especially coming on in the NCAA tournament.
So far, she's had 4 attempts. She's put 3 of those on the floor. Here's Mcclure. Tough serve, ace serve, another for Stanford, but we might have a challenge. Kayla Banworth, the assistant coach for John Cook along the Nebraska sideline, said that ball was out of bounds, and so we're going to have our second challenge of this championship match.
And not only was Kayla Banworth yelling it out, but Jazz Sweet sitting right next to her on the bench. Oh, that's in. That looks in to me. That's a great view. Any part, as you mentioned before, Paul, any part of the ball touching the line and it's in.
Well, we had a huge reversal last night, and that looks like some part of the ball caught the line. And the call is going to stand. Another ace serve for the Stanford Cardinals. Mcclure will go back to the line once again. Stanford leading 21-19 after trailing 9-4 to start this opening set, and that ball is definitely out of bounds. Want to remind everybody, enhanced coverage from the NCAA Women's Volleyball Championship. Be sure and log on to the ESPN app and check out the Volleyball Championship Data Center. You can follow real-time stats and see extended camera angles, both in addition to what everyone else is seeing at home. Back with Karch Kirai, Holly Rowe. I'm Paul Sunderland. Here's Lexi Sun. Both teams passing well. There's the two-handed dump that John Cook talked about at serve and pass for Nebraska this morning.
And that's a mini disaster for Nebraska. They never let plays like that drop. With some of the offensive struggles of Stanford, you don't want to let them off the hook with a softer play like that.
Sydney Wilson back to serve. Remember, Stanford with 5 aces outside the Fecky. Plummer off the edge of the block and down.
What a smart choice by Kathryn Plummer, taking a little off it and finding the outside pinky, that outside blocker, Jazz Sweet, deflecting it to the floor.
Back to Sweet. What coverage by Maloney. Fecky again, just aiming a little bit higher instead of the 30th floor up to the penthouse, up the top of the fingers. Wonderful coverage by Kenzie Maloney.
Yeah, and we saw swing after swing like that from Fecky against Oregon in the regional final. She was using the block to her advantage, deflecting it way over the heads of the defenders.
Fecky with her 6th kill, but Nebraska trailing by 2. Plummer over the top and down. Boy, first contact serve receive for Stanford right now, Karch, at a really high level after Nebraska was much better in that phase early.
70% of the time, that's an astronomical number, that they're passing a good or perfect pass versus 53% only for Nebraska. Big advantage for Stanford.
Set point number 1. Good contact. And a block on the outside. Nebraska is really going to want to stay in this matchup. Jazz Sweet, Karch, as you pointed out, doing a wonderful job blocking against Plummer. Set point number 2. Megan Miller, 5'6" freshman out of Alexandria, Indiana, on to serve. Had a big defensive semifinal. Fitzmaurice misses it out of bounds. 24-23, and now a timeout called by Stanford. Both teams out of timeouts.
Yeah, Stanford's got to figure out, with those 3 hitters at the net, Fitzmaurice, Alade, and Plummer, where do they go?
Well, we have a timeout on Saturday, December 29th. The college football playoff semifinals will get us one step closer to crowning a national champion. First at 4 Eastern, number 2 Clemson takes on number 3 Notre Dame in the Goodyear Cotton Bowl. And then at 8, number 1 Alabama faces Oklahoma and Heisman Trophy winner Kyler Murray in the Capital One Orange Bowl. The college football playoff Saturday, December 29th at 4 and 8 Eastern on ESPN and streaming live on the ESPN app. Assuming for a moment that Stanford is in system cards, where does Jenna Gray go with this ball to decide the opening set?
I don't feel like they have a ton of confidence in the connection between Gray and Alade. They were working on it yesterday in practice, but I think they're leaning most toward Plummer. That would be a back set over the head of Jenna Gray. She'd set back to the right sideline, or they go back to Fitzmaurice and give her another chance after she just hit out. I'd lean far more toward Plummer. National Player of the Year. It's time for her to step up and finish this out.
She's been awfully busy. Has been number 2 Plummer so far in the opening set. You look at the numbers and how she started and how she's picking things up. Already taken 16 swings in this opening set.
Stanford switches its formation. So what's going to happen is they get Plummer where they want her on the left side. She steps over, and then Fitzmaurice will run across and probably hit a slide off 1-foot attack. Ooh,
tight pass. Tied at 24. A shank pass, and Stivrins was all over that. Remember, both teams out of timeouts. Stanford has had 3 set points. Miller has got the serving instructions from the sideline. Plummer. Fitzmaurice, what a good choice that time by Jenna Gray.
And they like Fitzmaurice much more behind the setter, hitting back sets than they do hitting front sets. That's why they switch. We might have another challenge here.
Both coaches know how vitally important this opening set is. Both teams have already used one challenge. Stanford used one very early. This is a long conversation. I think they're, well, I'm not going to speculate about it.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what they might be challenging.
Exactly.
Maybe they saw a micro net during the play. Pass was a little close. Maybe Jenna Gray touched it with her right elbow. He puts it down. Looks like he doesn't want to burn one of his only 2 remaining challenges unless they go to a 5th set.
Set point number 4 for Stanford.
Think about Fecky here.
Into the cross court. Michaela Fecky having a big opening set and very, very efficient 7 kills. Holly, what have you got?
Well, John Cook and the official just had an interesting conversation. She said, what I observed is there was a touch at the net, but she had already completed her act. You're welcome to challenge it, but that's what I observed. He chose to keep the challenge. We'll see if it pays off.
Fitzmaurice again off the right side. She was the most efficient Stanford Cardinal attacker on Thursday night. There she is, number 12 in white, 6'6" junior. And now set point number 5 for Stanford.
Keep in mind, Fecky not in the front row for Nebraska.
Stivrins down the line, dug by Hintz. Stivrins again, into the cross court and down. Well, I asked you before first serve, Karch, if we might get a classic. So far, that's exactly what we're getting. And remember that Stanford led 24-21.
Hence, point blank range. This is actually not that not that difficult a play to make, but Stanford didn't get a set out of it.
Mcclure ripping, nice dig by Fecky, right on target. Sun into the cross court and out of bounds. Wow. Saw the net bouncing. I think that was Lexi Sun leading into the net support after that play was down. So another set point. We're up to half a dozen, and Formica, who's been very good from the line, back to serve for Stanford.
Yeah, had a nice run before. Nice up by Hentz.
Mcclure. Not yet. Sun is rejected. What a set point by both of these teams. And finally, a stuff block on the outside for the Stanford Cardinal.
Jenna Gray coming up huge, but you got to give most of the credit to Morgan Hentz with the dig and a couple of covers, keeping that ball alive for Stanford.
What we expected, what we were hoping for. Settle in. Stanford takes the opening set. Take a look back at set point number 6 for the Stanford Cardinal.
Morgan Hentz across the net, black jersey coming halfway into the court to make the defensive play. Then another touch. That's called coverage, helping your hitter. And another coverage, and see how she puts it high. So she keeps the player alive. Of course, Kenzie Maloney doing the same thing for Nebraska, but finally the stuff by a very talented blocker at the net, Jenna Gray.
Take a look at the numbers from the opening set for two-time most outstanding player Michaela Fecke. She is having a wonderful final yet again. It's MFT, Michaela Fecke time, and after a slow start, Kathryn Plummer has righted the ship.
So the challenge for Nebraska is how do they contend when Fecke is in the back row? They're probably going to have to start setting her more when she's not at the net.
So far, Lexi Sun off to a very, very slow start. 10 swings, no kills. She's hit 2 balls out of bounds and been blocked twice. She struggled against this same Stanford block. She's the only player in this match to sort of have a common opponent. She played for Texas against Stanford last year in the regional finals and did not fare particularly well against this huge block. That ball left a little bit short. Plummer ripping into the cross court.
Ooh, she almost took Fecke's head off. That was a sharp and steep swing. Plummer can hit all of those shots. I got to admire, she had such an awful start and has pulled her way out of it. Not hitting for great efficiency, but the way that she turned it around to help her team win that first set was impressive.
Plummer was 0 for her first 5 with a couple of errors. Sweet over the top, Alade is there. Number 6 in white for Stanford. Hentz with a stab. Fecke again pounding on the sideline.
Wow, that dig by Morgan Hentz. She moved too far and still made up ground, but couldn't come up with the second one, the second opportunity in that rally.
You see her in the middle of the logo. She's covering half of the court. Fitzmaurice nicely over the top and down. Adriana Fitzmaurice wearing number 12 again, 11 kills in the semifinal, playing very, very well again tonight for the Cardinal.
And Stanford has a matchup that they like a little better. They now have Fitzmaurice on Fecke. They spun the dial a little, changed their service order.
Tough serve, and that ball drifts just out of bounds. Third service error for Stanford against 5 aces. 5 aces for the Cardinal in the opening set. That was the difference because Nebraska was more efficient in attacking phase. Here's Megan Miller again. That 5-set thrilling comeback after being down 2-0 against Illinois, had 19 digs. Alade nicely out of the middle.
Alade has had a great senior season. She's not even going to go on and play volleyball after this. It's really just helping her team perform, and that's the connection that Stanford would like to see more in this final match. Haven't had it a lot in this tournament.
Little miscommunication in the backcourt. That was a good soft touch, Karch, but Plummer and Jenna Gray were not able to come up with that ball.
Yeah, but sometimes what happens is when Morgan Hens cheats in, people are waiting for her to make the play.
Look at Stivrins, 5 of 6. Lights out offensively, giving Michaela Fecchi a lot of needed support as that ball drifts just out of bounds. Just underway here in the second set, the national championship between Nebraska and Stanford. Stanford has won 7 national titles, tied for the top spot with the Penn State Nittany Lions. Nebraska looking for their 6th overall title. Dug by Hens, but right on top of the net. And Stivrins is there once again for her 6th kill.
Yeah, Morgan Hens putting herself in the right position, but pushing the ball too close. It drifts over. You don't want to waste all that work. The good defensive work, the good eye work, the good read by making a bad contact.
Densberger now for Nebraska. That ball not there at all. Opportunity here for Nebraska.
Nice up.
Sun. Nebraska fans waited a long time for Lexi Sun to rack up her first kill, and much needed.
You can never go wrong with a swing like this. Deep to the corner, that's one place we have not seen Hens set up yet. She will often cheat in. You said she's often even on the logo in the middle of the court.
Nice reaction by Gray. Fecchi out of the back row registers another kill.
And she will swing on that backcourt swing. She has to jump from behind the 3-meter line. No part of her shoes can touch it, but she will always, almost always swing to her right. Stanford didn't defend that very well.
3-0 run now here comes to an end as Densberger misses that ball just out of bounds. But you said it, Karch, until Lexi Sun starts to find some rhythm and confidence, Michaela Fecchi's got to get more opportunities out of the back row.
And I said swing to her right. What I meant was crossbody. She will hit it back to her left toward Stanford's deep left corner, zone 1.
Good serve by Mcclure. Look at the tempo to the outside. Kathryn Plummer just drilling the ball to the floor.
And that's what'll happen when you don't have Jazz Sweet, a better blocker on you. You have the smaller, still not a bad blocker, but at 5'10", Nicklin Hames is not the shutdown blocker that Jazz Sweet can be.
Plummer now with 8 kills on 22 swings again after an 0 for 5 start. Nice. That ball off the top of the block by Lexi Sun. Stanford won the opening set in overtime. It took them 6 set points to get there. Cardinal won at 28-26. Nebraska leading here 7-6 in the second. Well, Campbell way too hard up into the tape and hurt her team there.
That's a tough play to run when the pass goes where it is. That is meant to be a back set, but a broken play. Jenna Gray still decided to set Campbell.
Nice blocking by Nebraska. That ball passed too tight again. Gray does a good job on the joust. Oh, that ball shouldn't go down. That is a poor reaction by Nebraska.
And that's very uncharacteristic of the best defensive team in the country, the team that holds opponents to the lowest hitting efficiency at about 140 now. Twice now we've seen Nebraska caught surprise.
On the season, Nebraska, as you mentioned, holding opponents under 140 in terms of efficiency. That was the best in the country. Capri Davis going off speed. She was working on that shot, that little roll shot, an awful lot in practice today, and gets the touch off of Alade.
Smart shot by her. Meanwhile, we're seeing the middle blockers for Stanford just taking these wild stabs at the ball, these one-arm stabs. Need a better, they can make a better contact than that.
Here is Lexi Sun once again. Nebraska continuing to lead here in the second. Tough serve. Becky demanding the ball. Nice dig by Mcclure. Plummer again. Boy, has she found her range and rhythm. 9 kills on 23 swings. So that means 9 out of her last 18 with no errors.
And assistant coach Jalen Reyes was screaming, take the line, take the cross court, get low and over. Middle blocker didn't accomplish that. Easy kill for Plummer.
Fecky through the block and down. Now for Michaela Fecky, 112 kills in the national semifinals and finals. That's the 8th most all time, and that is a remarkable accomplishment because almost all of the attackers above her on that list played in the side-out system when we would be here all night long. Plummer! Boy, as she loosened up, and Kevin Hambley is smiling from ear to ear over on the sideline, her head coach.
Those are some assertive swings, and that time she was matched up across the net for Nebraska's star, Michaela Fecky.
Sweet down the line and out of bounds. Stanford answers with a mini run of their own to come back and tie this national championship match at 10 apiece. That ball hit out of bounds. Nice save that time by Nicklin Hames, and now Stanford Carter on a 4-1 run. Nebraska only trails by 1, but do you think John Cook and Nebraska need a timeout?
They're getting close. It's just a lot of serving pressure coming at them from Nebraska, from Stanford. That's a good pass by Fecky.
Stivrins on the crossbody. Look at Stivrins, 8 of 10. She's only been slowed down. She just hit that ball out of bounds. That's her first hitting error in these national championships, including the semifinals. Good pass by Plummer. And Fitzmaurice off the edge of the block and down. Fitzmaurice now cards 5 kills on 11 swings.
Jenna Gray has done a wise job. Remember when Plummer was struggling early, she went to Fitzmaurice more and gave Plummer a little breather, got her back into the offensive rhythm.
Once again, Lauren Stivrins, I mentioned that was her first error on Thursday night in that 5-set thriller over Illinois. She was 8 of 16 with no errors so far on the night, 9 of 11 with 1.
Remember, we were asking John Cook last week, well, how much do you want to get the ball to Lawrence Stivrins? He was like, what, are you kidding me? Every time. Have you seen her hitting efficiency? And boy, is she showing it in this tournament.
Beautiful dig. Chance here for Sun, change in direction, down the line, and the score. Let's go over to Holly Rowe.
Well, Lauren Stivrins on fire right now for Nebraska. And, you know, keep in mind she's just a sophomore, but was named first-team All-American this year. How she found out was a cute story. John Cook said, I need to speak to you in my office. She's like, I was so afraid. I was in trouble. I got there and he said, remember all those talks, how you said you might want to be an All-American today? Well, today you are. She said, I just burst into tears that she'd been talking about that goal for so long. It actually came true. Cute way for John Cook to let her know she'd accomplished that milestone.
And as you pointed out, only a sophomore, and as you look around the country, there is a plethora of talent at the middle blocking position. Dana Rettke, 6'8" at Wisconsin, comes to mind. Breon Butler, a 6'4" freshman at Texas. Just a load of talent in the middle. Service error there. Nebraska leading at 14-13. Haley Densberger on to serve once again. Plummer out of the back row and just out of bounds. And we've got a timeout on the floor for the national championship. Nebraska taking on Stanford. Who will make their forever tonight in Minneapolis? You're starting to see why Kathryn Plummer, the 6'6" junior out of Stanford, is back-to-back National Player of the Year after a very rocky start.
Very rocky, some confusion, some bad connections, but she righted the ship and helped lead Stanford to that very close first set win. Now coming out with some heat. We just saw her take a swing from the backcourt. They set her up in a good position, good location, but her swing went a couple of feet out of bounds. They want to keep her involved in the offense, even when she's in the backcourt, as she is now.
Densberger coming out of the timeout. To Campbell, able to tuck that ball inside of Callie Schwarzenbach. So side out point possession. Back to Megan Mcclure and the Stanford Cardinal. Mcclure, I think consensus, one of the most improved players in the country, the 6-foot sophomore out of Santa Margarita, California. She was the quintessential role player last year, rarely got set, but now she's a big part of the offense. Sun. Chance for Stanford. There's the two-handed dump once again. Hence is all over it on the cover. Plummer through the block and down.
What defense by Morgan Hens, keeping the ball alive until Kathryn Plummer could get the swing she wanted. Flying across. Sometimes she'll just steal it from her opponent. She has free reign to take the whole court.
Hence now in double figures with 10 digs. That ball served just over the sideline. Nebraska leading at 16-15.
Yeah, her dad used to call those, probably still does, rip-off digs, just stealing kills from hitters, and she's doing it there time and again.
Good set to Plummer, but stuffed once again in that same matchup against Jazz Sweet.
Yeah, her previous swing was against Nicklin Hames at the net. Very different and better block with Jazz Sweet. She has to be careful about hitting low into Sweet's elbows.
Both of these teams really good offensively so far. Give you those numbers in just a moment. Campbell, did she get a touch? No. Stanford saying a touch, but both linesmen not signaling it. I think we're going to get, oh, the first referee called it. That's really good work, because for one thing, the call is right. The other is he saved Stanford an additional challenge.
I thought that was a pretty obvious call. I'm surprised neither. Yeah, how do both linesmen miss that one? Wow.
One of them standing right here, Kurt. You could ask him.
We'll do that at the next break.
Davis off the edge of the block and down. Nebraska, we've talked about it before, but very unusual. Platooning that opposite position just in that one rotation.
Yep, they want to bring a right-hander in to hit on their left side, and she's been doing a very creditable job of, which is a difficult job to do. Come in, take one swing, go right back out until it's your turn 6 rotations later.
Give you the hitting numbers for both of these teams after this point. Back to Fecky. Just ripping as hard as she possibly can. Michaela Fecky now with her 11th kill. Stanford, the championship match so far, hitting .308. And behind Michaela Fecky and Lauren Stivrins, Nebraska hitting .343 so far for the match. Timeout called by Stanford, Nebraska leading 19-16. Michaela Fecky came out firing. Already, Karch, double-digit kills and very, very efficient.
And when she sees that line open, she will take it, but her favorite shot is ripping the ball cross court as she did this last time on Morgan Hens.
Let's go over to the sideline for more on Michaela Fecky.
Well, Michaela Fecky is a big-time star, but she is from a little tiny hometown, West Point, Iowa, population 966. We have several watch parties going on in West Point, and people are texting me their pictures and their videos. The mayor from her high school in Fort Madison is texting me, Brad Randolph. Her setter from high school, Allie Randolph, is there. Libero Lauren Pothitakas from her high school state championship team. Her dentist, many neighbors and friends. You can see all of their video on my Twitter handle. I've tweeted out everything, the pictures and video from West Point, Iowa. Way to show up. Pretty sure everyone, all 966 in West Point, know Michaela Fecky's name and that she's going for a championship tonight.
Talk about the definition of multitasking. I want to remind everybody, coverage of the NCAA championships continues with the FCS Football National Championship Saturday, January 5th at noon Eastern on ESPN2.
And remember, Paul and Holly, before Fecky started her freshman season, she called Coach Cook and said, you know what, it's been a while since Nebraska's made it to the NCAA semifinals. I'm going to lead them there. She said that was probably a naive kid at the time, but not only she'd lead them to 1, but to 4 straight as Coach Cook signals zone 5 for the serve.
Good pass by Formica. Good set to the outside. What a play by Hames. Outside to Fecky on what was far from an ideal dig.
Yeah, that's a tough play to make off your forearms with that much spin. I think Nebraska has to think about moving that, Stanford has to think about moving that block in a little more. I don't know if they want to give Morgan Hens that much space to defend.
Stanford moving Kathryn Plummer a little farther inside to find some open net. She responds and puts that ball right to the floor. Now, we saw that dig by Maloney, but then after that, it was Lexi's son, and Nicklin Hames came in and made a beautiful delivery. Prior to that, Jenna Gray now back to serve, 6'1" junior out of Shawnee, Kansas, for the second time, first-team All-American. What a dig by Hens. Kenzie Maloney is expert at the libero position, setting the off ball. She had 10 assists in the semifinal the other night. That was a perfect delivery.
And what's nice is she has a target in Jazz Sweet, a left-handed opposite, that she can face that dig and make the simple set. She's locating it superbly.
And that ball just out of bounds. We knew we would have a real defensive battle. Both of these teams with 30 digs and also very close, Karch, in percentage of perfect pass. Stanford at 59%, but now Nebraska taking the lead in that all-important category, 66% perfect pass. Hames to Sweet again, and rejected by Alade.
Yeah, Alade made a nice adjustment, Paul. She got beaten the very last swing inside her hand, so she dove into the cross court for that stuff.
Nebraska calls timeout after the block. The Cornhuskers still leading at 21-19. Stanford, again, so impressive in the blocking phase the other night. 17 stuff blocks against BYU in just 3 sets. Oh, we got a timeout. Let's go back over to the sideline to a very busy and active Holly Rowe. What do you got now?
Well, you know, Nebraska is really coming alive here in the second set after losing that first set. One of their real mental conditioning exercises all season long has been we is greater than me. This is something they believe in. Their team leaders have set the tone for this. Even the stars on this team are servant leaders. Nothing is too big for these kids to accomplish together. And we see all the fans in the stands. They have got signs up. They definitely believe that even though they've got new players, new All-Americans, new talent coming in, the we of Nebraska volleyball is still more important than the me. And that team atmosphere has them here at their 4th straight national championship. It's never happened in the great history of Nebraska, but this attitude has them here again this season.
And Holly, as you mentioned right before first serve, their leadership was never more necessary than in the semifinal on Thursday night. Down 2-0 to the Fighting Illini, being outplayed, and also they were very much out of their personality and comfort zone, and they pulled themselves out of that, came back and won 3-2. On Tuesday, be sure and catch the Cherubundi Boca Raton Bowl at 7 Eastern Time on ESPN between UAB and Northern Illinois. It's the only non-New Year's Six Bowl game featuring two conference champions. It's Blazers and Huskies in the Cherubundi Boca Raton Bowl Tuesday at 7 Eastern on ESPN. Back with Karch Kirai, I'm Paul Sunderland. Holly Rowe on the sideline. Coming out of the timeout, Kathryn Plummer. Back to serve, Nebraska still leading by 2. Fecke on the combination play.
Nice wrinkle out of the timeout for Michaela Fecke. She comes into the middle of the court, and Alade looked at her defense like, wait, where did she come from? They've got to keep, they can never not know what Michaela Fecke is.
12 kills, 26 swings, hit 423. Having a huge championship match again. Fecke going deep, corner off of Henson, out of bounds. The lead is 23-19. Timeout, Stanford. Michaela Fecke, having won this tournament's Most Outstanding Player Award in 2015 and then again last year. She was co-player of the tournament last year along with All-American setter Kelly Hunter. Yep, Fecke power, there's no doubt about that. 13 kills, 27 swings. And so look, the Stanford block could certainly match up physically, but what do they need to do to slow down Fecke?
I don't think they're locating themselves or positioning themselves in the right spot. Fecke's favorite shot, and it's a hard one to stop, and it's a cannon of an arm she has, is cross court. They're giving Morgan Hentz too much court to try to defend. Hentz is losing that battle right now. You'll see Fecke hit a lot harder cross court than she will down the line. I think they need to make her hit her second or third favorite shot, not her primary shot.
Nebraska 29-6 on the year. They were third in the Big Ten Conference. 15-5, went through that very, very tough stretch from November 13th through 27th, where they lost 4 out of 5. Look at that, the opponent hitting percentage. Well, Stanford was just lights out, particularly blocking at the net. Nebraska is really doing a wonderful job. You combine Fecke 13 of 27 and Stivrins 9 of 13. Those are some huge numbers against a really good block and defense.
And between them, on those 40 swings, they only have 1 error each. That's very low error volleyball.
Here is Miller once again. Tough swing here from Mcclure, well off the net. Sun out of the back row is blocked.
Nebraska with a nice rotation for them. Their 2 best hitters, Stivrins and Fecke, at the net.
Another really tough swing for Fecke. Up into the block, restart the point. Nice stretch by Plummer. Fitzmaurice down the line. Sun's got it, but nobody there. Wonderful hustle by Lexi Sun after the dig by Kenzie Maloney, but all her teammates were pursuing with her.
And they're doing what they're supposed to. They're supposed to run after her. Plummer laying it out earlier in that rally to her right, and then she also covered it. But you want to chase your teammate and help her out. You think she's barely going to get the ball up in the air.
Fecke through the block and down once again. Set points for the Cornhuskers, leading 24-21. Exactly the same score that Stanford led by in the opening set before we went to OT. Stanford eventually winning at 28-26. Fitzmaurice through the block and down, one set point save. And remember back to the opening set when Stanford had 5 aces. Several of those dialed up by number 11, Formica. And John Cook called a timeout. Now he's trying to say, I don't want it. Wow. That's at the second referee's discretion. But Stanford was starting to walk off the court. He didn't have any left. Wow, that was close. Stivrins, a net violation. Stivrins missed it out of bounds, but a net violation on Stanford. And we're tied in this championship match at 1 set apiece.
Can't have any part of your body touch the net. Whoa, that was a micro net there, but I think she did touch it with her left forearm.
So the net violation, and the Nebraska Cornhuskers fans can take a sigh of relief. This championship match tied at 1 set apiece. Stanford took the first, and a bounce back by the Cornhuskers, the defending national champions. We're tied at a set apiece. NCAA Women's Volleyball Championship back in the Twin Cities, Minneapolis specifically, for the first time in 30 years. And boy, do we have a good one going. Stanford and Nebraska tied at a set apiece. Back with Coach Kurai, U.S. national team head coach. I'm Paul Sunderland. Your thoughts about adjustments? These teams have taken some big rips at one another, and now it's time. Mcclure has just been basically unstoppable, as we expected in this championship.
And remember, there were 5 aces off the Stanford serve, none in the second set. That was a big difference. The passing, the ball control of Nebraska stabilizing, and those two hitters, Fecky and Stivrins, 25 kills on 55 swings with only 2 errors, really riding the success of those two. Stanford not defending them well enough.
You talked about matchups early. It favored Jazz Sweet, looking at Kathryn Plummer. Now what does Stanford do maybe to turn the dial to try to slow down number 2 in black?
Yeah, number 2 in black is having more success hitting cross court generally, so it's up to those middles of Stanford to not reach to their right, but actually drop to their left and take the cross-court shot.
Mcclure time in the national semifinals and championship match. Those are just historic numbers. And Jordan Larson, who currently plays for the U.S. national team, a multi-time Olympian, the consensus greatest player of all time in Nebraska history. The GOAT, the greatest of all time. I think now it is consensus that Mcclure is GOAT number 2.
And may, if she can win this match, help Nebraska win this 3rd title in 4 years, she might go to the GOAT number 1. Coach Cook was talking about it last weekend. There's Jordan Larson, Sarah Pavin, Mcclure Mcclure might take herself to a whole new level.
Tied at 1 set apiece, our Holly Rowe caught up with Stanford head coach Kevin Hambly just moments ago.
Well, Coach Kevin Hambly, Kathryn Plummer started off her night 0 for 5. What changed with her approach that she got into the swing of things?
I mean, I think her and Jenna were just misconnecting on some of the timing stuff, and they started to work that out. A little bit about nerves. I think Jenna was rushing her and setting it higher and just trying to settle into the match. And I feel like both teams are more settled in the match, and I think the level of play, you saw it, we both hit over 300 in that set. And so I think we're starting to play the way we should play, and we'll see how this goes now.
Mcclure is heated up for them. What do you want to change with how you're attacking her and on the block?
I mean, we're actually in really good spots, and she's just hitting good shots. I think we're crashing the court a little bit, and she hit a lot of balls deep, and we're not defending that very well. We need to stay a little bit more patient, stay back, and then kind of read when it's a faster set, she's doing different things, and when it's a higher set, and we're not on that the way we need to be, and we're talking about it. We'll see if we can get there.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Cool, thanks.
Underway here in the 3rd set. Nebraska and Stanford. Stanford, the overall number 1 seed. Nebraska, the 7th seed. Stanford won the opening set 28-26. Nebraska evened this match at a set apiece, taking the second 25-22. Mcclure leading all attackers, actually tied now with Kathryn Plummer, 14 kills apiece, and hitting for a very, very high percentage. First look here, up into the block, covered by Sun. Nice dig by Nicklin Hames. Boy, not a good set that time by Morgan, hence outside the antenna, but Kathryn Plummer making do.
Well, it's been working for Nebraska so far, but with Mcclure carrying such a big offensive load, they want her to start at left front, and get her more trips across the net. That's what they did in the 1st and 2nd, and they do again in the 3rd set. So already gotten set once here. Let's see if they come back to her. Nope.
Good passing by Lexi Sun, and Jazz Sweet adding to her total now with 6 kills. Mentioned Fecky. Jazz Sweet now with half a dozen. Lauren Stivrins with 10 kills. Capri Davis with 3, and Lexi Sun 3 kills on 20 swings. Good rhythm to the outside. Nice wrist away. That was a touch on Mcclure. There's no question about that. Yeah, clearly a touch on number 2 in black as that ball was sliced into the cross court. So the kill by Fitzmaurice, she registers her 8th. Kathryn Plummer now with 15. Campbell, the young middle blocker out of Texas, with 6. Megan Mcclure only with 2 kills on 13 swings. looked like a double contact, and it will be Stanford score off the edge. Quick start for the Stanford Cardinal on top of Nebraska, 4-1 here in the third. Kathryn Plummer using all 6'6" of that frame to serve some really tough balls. Fecky again. Off the inside hand of Alade and away from Hentz.
And we heard Coach Hambley talking about how we're drifting around a little too much. That would be an example. You see Morgan Hentz cheating to her right. She often will crash into the court, but then when the ball goes back to the perimeter, she ends up in a poor defensive position.
Mcclure up into the block and out of bounds. Perfect pass by Kathryn Plummer. What about the serving strategy of both of these teams? We talked about the no-go zone, the red area. Are both teams serving smart? Are they serving tactically?
I think they've backed off on their serving, so both teams are generally controlling that serve much better. That's that shutdown block by Fitzmaurice that we saw her do so well against BYU in the semifinals.
Fitzmaurice with the matchup on the outside in this rotation against Michaela Fecky. Let's go over to Holly Rowe.
Speaking of the serving, Kevin Hambley of Stanford had a definite plan to attack Lexi Sun. Out of the last 5 serves, 4 of them have gone to her. They wanted to put pressure on her defending. This is her first year as a 6 rotation player, but she's done pretty well.
Off the block again, and there is Adriana Fitzmaurice. With good reason, we talk about the quote-unquote big 3. Well, she's a pretty solid 4, make no question about it. A second-team All-American, All-Pac-12 selection. Timeout called by Nebraska. Here in the third, tied at a set apiece. Stanford leading 7-2. The Target Center, host of the 2018 Women's NCAA Women's Volleyball Championship. 16th time in the championship match for Stanford. It's the 9th for the Nebraska Cornhuskers, and they have only played for this title once in 2006. Fecky once again ripping into the cross court.
See, I think you got to take more cross court than that, Paul. She hit to the corner. Watch this ball go inside the block to the corner. You have to force her. You have to have a hand, I think, in front of that corner shot, because she's just going to go wild. Serves out of bounds. If you leave her that much cross court, you're essentially leaving her the diagonal half of the court to hit at.
And even as good as Morgan Hentz is, that's just way too much real estate. Formica on. Stanford leading 8-3. Fecky now with 16 kills. Dug by Miller. Kept alive by Nebraska.
Yeah, I like the patience.
Miller with back-to-back beautiful digs, creating an opportunity for Michaela Fecky. What defense for number 3 in black, who had 19 digs against Illinois in the semifinal.
No surprise, Nebraska leading the nation in terms of blocking and defending and holding opponents' hitting efficiencies down. A national low of 140. Nice hustle.
Ball set too tight. Fecky out of the back row. And off of Plummer and out of bounds. And now it's 8-5 as Haley Densberger will go back to serve. The defensive specialists have done a marvelous job for John Cook in Nebraska. Speaking of Miller, along with Densberger. Mcclure, who's been very quiet offensively and gets a break there, Karch.
A huge break. Both players, Fecky and Densberger, backed off, and both of them could have made that touch. Miscommunication.
Mcclure now 4 kills on 15 swings after a very quiet semifinal as well, when she was just 3 of 19 against BYU. Schwarzenbach Look at this, 67% perfect pass now for Nebraska compared to 58% for Stanford.
Yep, Stanford was having a lot more success in that first set with their tough serving, not creating nearly as much trouble or chaos in the next two.
Stanford so far able to hit themselves out of some offs, out of system swings, but not there. Schwarzenbach working on Plummer.
That's the matchup that Nebraska likes. They'd much prefer to have a right side blocker in Jazz Sweet against Kathryn Plummer.
5th block now for Nebraska, 7 so far for Stanford. Dug by Maloney, that ball's right on the sideline. And again to Campbell, and there's going to be a net violation. Holly Campbell, the 6'4" freshman out of Austin, Texas. I'll tell you, she may be quiet, but she carries a real big stick.
And did you see how she adjusted there? What range? First she hits it straight down the line, then sharp cross court for the kill, adjusting to find the daylight that the block's giving her.
7 kills on 14 swings after a very efficient semifinal. Davis inside the block and away from Formica. Very nice play by Capri Davis as Jazz Sweet comes back on.
Again, she comes in just to help them win the serve back. And then she checks right back out. She's been hitting a lot more line in this tournament, but finding success on that cross-court play. That is not an easy role to play. How do you stay warm to take a big swing when you go sit out for 15 minutes?
Plummer high off the block. Lexi Sun can't track it down. Plummer with her 16th kill, already taken 40 swings. But there is no tomorrow. She can rest all she wants for a while. Michaela Fecchi on the other side, much more efficient so far. In the head-to-head matchup, 18 kills on 36 swings.
And a lot of that is against the best block that Stanford can put up, which we have right now. Alade and Fitzmaurice against her.
Chance for Stanford. And ball is still up. Lexi Sun. Nice dig initially, but could not continue the play. Alade having a little more success offensively, and now Stanford on top 12-8. Tied at a set apiece. Best 3 out of 5 sets if we go 5. 15-point tiebreaker. Sweet is rejected by Alade.
That's the second stuff block Alade's been a part of. Remember the other night against BYU. She was a part of 14 in just 3 sets.
Fecchi again into the cross court, but this time Hentz is there. Fecchi snapping over the top and out of bounds. The Nebraska players saying that ball was on the sideline. Now a big lead for Stanford. Nebraska does have a timeout remaining.
Nebraska probably waiting for that, not wanting to burn a timeout, waiting for the media timeout, but you don't want to give Stanford too much of a lead.
Fecchi, another tough opportunity from 13 feet off the net. Well, Stanford fans wanted a double contact that time on Hames.
Some really poor setting this rally, the worst of the match.
But awfully good blocking. Tame Alade, 6'2" senior out of Alberta, Canada. Stanford with the advantage 15-8, and we will have a timeout on the floor. Alade starting to assert herself in this third set, along with the rest of the Stanford Cardinal in the blocking phase of the game, leading at 15-8. We've got a timeout. Megan Mcclure starting to get involved here offensively. Let's go over to Holly Rowe.
Well, Megan Mcclure is in her second season with this Stanford volleyball team, but an important piece of her family has come along with her. She doesn't live too far away, and so her sister Amanda, or Mandy, is at just about every single match. She has become maybe one of the best parts of this team. The players absolutely love Mandy, and she says that they are her main homies. She loves her homies on the team, but her main homie is Jenna Gray. Megan said it's been really neat to have Amanda there by her side. Mandy is such a big part of her. She said, if I can just give her a hug and be next to her and have her spirit and her presence on our team, it makes a huge difference. So I think our life goal should be that if we could be a homie of Mandy, I think then life will be good. That's our goal for us, guys.
Life would indeed be good. I doubt that I qualify, but this is Megan Mcclure talking about her sister.
Mandy, you are my greatest role model, my best friend, my sister, my love bug, the person I turn to when I need a hug, the person who I always know can cheer me up. I just wanted to let you know that I love you and that you are my role model and that I play this game for you.
Love bug. Gotta love that.
Yep.
It's awesome.
Yep, quite a pair. I had the great pleasure to meet the entire Mcclure family. Spoke with Mandy briefly in the lobby of the hotel there. Stanford Cardinal coincidentally staying where we are, Karch, and really a delightful, delightful group.
And was their band rocking
it today.
2 hours before the match took over the whole street.
15-8 is the advantage for Megan Mcclure, and it grows as Michaela Fecke misses that ball out of bounds. 16-8 advantage. 6-0 run.
And that's the shot I think you have to force Michaela Fecke to hit more of. She's going to make more errors on that line with less court to swing at.
Nice dig by Mcclure. Right on time into the cross court again to Fitzmaurice, who's having a magnificent championship weekend in Minneapolis, number 12 in white.
She is working so hard to get off the net from her blocking position beyond that white line, the 3-meter line, so that she can take a nice approach. And that work gives her the ability to hit sharp like that, with hit more with range.
Good soft touch by Plummer. Another point scoring opportunity. And that ball down. No, that was up into the antenna. I thought it went off the block of Nebraska into the antenna, but ruled correctly off the swing from Fitzmaurice.
And remember, she's just learning the opposite position this year. She's played all the front row positions, left side a little too, but mostly middle the last few years. So it's been a new challenge for her in her junior season to switch over.
Back to the hot hitter for another kill. Fitzmaurice now with 11 kills on 23 swings.
And they have so much trust in her. She can hit anywhere along the net. You don't see many people who are former middles or could play middle take a swing like that on the left side.
How good is she going to be when she figures it out, or just has one position to worry about? Ace serve! Boy, this set is really getting away from Nebraska. Their efficiency to start this set, Karch, was way over 300. They've dropped all the way down to 252, whereas Stanford is maintaining their level over 300.
Well over 300 at 380, almost far above the mark. Remember, Nebraska has forced, I think, 13 or 14 teams to their lowest efficiency, but Stanford is at 314, right around their season mark.
That ball out of bounds. Commanding lead here in the third. Remember, tied at a set apiece, 20-9. And that ball missed out of bounds. 6 aces for Stanford, but just moments ago, the first for the Cardinal from Kathryn Plummer since the opening set when they had 5. Here is Miller once again, who has been outstanding as a defensive specialist for Nebraska this entire year and tournament especially. Mcclure. Hentz after that ball and missed it down the sideline after a very, very good first contact by Miller. (20-11), still a very comfortable lead for the Cardinal.
That set was a little too high, so Fecky had to hit it off speed.
Kathryn Plummer trying to very sharp wrist away, missed that out of bounds. Well, stranger things have happened. I think one more, and Kevin Hambly, the second-year head coach for the Stanford Cardinal, call a timeout. Fitzmaurice high off the block. Nice dig by Sun. Right back at you by Hentz, and a chance for Mcclure, who rips off the top of the block. Best swing of the night for Megan Mcclure, number 4 in white.
Morgan Hentz coming up with another one cross court. Do you see how she didn't drift into the very middle of the court and stand on the logo that time? Much better positioning.
Stivrins comes right back. That previous defensive play by Morgan Hentz, currently her 16th dig. Very, very close match in that regard, as we expected. Again, offense gets all the headlines, but defense, you look at both of these teams, wins championships. 46 digs for Nebraska, 44 for Hentz and Stanford.
Not a very tough serve from Fecky.
That's going to be ruled for contacts. Mistimed that time by Mcclure. 21-14.
And you know, if you're Nebraska, Paul, you're thinking, okay, we might be able, it's still possible to come back and win this, but more importantly, they have to get, they're working to get their rhythm back for that start of the 4th set if they end up down 2-1.
What a rip again by Fitzmaurice.
And I don't know if we've talked about setter Jenna Gray enough. Coach Hambly gives her so much credit. She's got tremendous EQ, emotional quotient, and she's just the right person to manage their many diverse personalities, and she's really getting Fitzmaurice going this night.
Stivrins is dug. Tough chance from Mcclure. That ball set a little bit tight. Plummer long range, and Mcclure ruled into the net, making it 22-15. Still a very comfortable lead for the Stanford Cardinal. What would you tell your team? Look, you just mentioned it. It would take a miracle for Nebraska to come back, but I think Stanford's level has dropped a little bit. Nebraska can accomplish something here before this set's over.
It absolutely has, and they have to get back to serving tough. That was a good serve. Defending, which is, again, one of their trademarks, and then turning it with a transition. They didn't do that part of it.
Perfect dig by Plummer, and leads to a kill by Campbell off the edge of the block. Beautiful transition. Both of these very, very accomplished outside hitters, Plummer and Fecky, really can play defense as well.
Jenna Gray locating that ball so well for her hitter. You don't want to put it too close where the blocker's hands are taking up too much of the swing pattern.
That ball drifts out of bounds. That's the 7th service error for Stanford against 6 aces, but have been applying pretty solid pressure throughout the course, particularly of this 3rd set. Here is Nicklin Hames. Right side again. Stanford is really attacking the left front blocking of Nebraska.
Nice hustle.
Hames all over that. Jazz sweep, not yet. Right back to it again. You mentioned it, Karch. Jenna Gray is doing a magnificent job. The block and focus goes over to Plummer, so she's working the right side to Fitzmaurice and to Campbell.
Yeah, great hustle on defense by Hames, but as you see, Morgan Hentz puts this ball high. Jenna Gray locates perfectly, and Holly Campbell is having herself a great match in 9 kills, no errors on 17 swings.
Set point, and it's the block once again of Jenna Gray. And Tammy Alade will close out the 3rd set for the Stanford Cardinal, looking for their 8th title overall, which would put them atop the college volleyball world, but still a lot more work to do. You know Nebraska is not going to go away. The Stanford Cardinal won their first of 7 national titles in 1992, followed up in 94, 96, and 97, and then 2001, 2004, and 2016. 4 under Don Shaw, 3 under John Dunning. They are tied with Penn State for the most overall titles. We don't like to talk about droughts in California, Karch, but by Stanford's standings, that was a long one from 04 to 15.
Now looking to win an unprecedented 8th title, tied right now with Penn State at 7 apiece.
Stanford and Nebraska back out on the floor here at a sold-out Target Center. Nebraska's offense really suffered in that 3rd set. For more on the Cornhuskers, let's go to Holly.
During that last timeout, it was the Nebraska players who had the voice in the huddle. I really loved the young leadership of sophomore Lauren Stivrins. She said, look, we have got to talk more. We've got to come together. She took all the bad juju out of the huddle and threw it aside. Michaela Fecke then used her voice, said, we aren't talking enough. We've got to focus more on digging. We have got to talk better. They're trying to pull themselves together.
Thank you, Holly. Jazz Sweet. Unusually getting a swing in rotation number 1. That's the setter in the right back, the opposite in the left front. Sweet able to put that ball away. Nebraska hits 302 in the 1st set, 326 in the 2nd, 027 in the 3rd. Was that bad offense or really good defense? It's usually a combination.
It was a combination. Stanford picked up its serving game, even though at the end, Paul, you and I felt like Stanford got a little soft, leaving an opening for Nebraska to come back.
Jazz Sweet again, missed that ball out of bounds. That was a touch, though. Yeah, no question, a touch off the top of the block. Officiating crew doing a nice job here. He's made a couple of good calls without a lot of help from the linesman. That ball is clearly off the top of the block as Lexi Sun goes back to serve. Must-win situation for the Cornhuskers. Jenna Gray is in the back row, so when Schwarzenbach made contact above the plane, Jenna Gray is called for being a back row blocker.
Yeah, Paul, that was not a very difficult play, that short serve to make for Megan Mcclure, but she just overran it, pushed it back across the net.
On the night, Nebraska's passing numbers, serve receive, are better than Stanford's and trending up, but they're trailing 2 sets to 1. Rip into the cross court.
Another close dig.
Fecke demanding the ball into the cross court. Look at Morgan Hentz. Again. I'll tell you, I don't know about you, Karch, but you can see Michaela Fecke. She goes, I'm going to hit this one hard, and then I'm going to hit this one harder, and now I'm going to hit this as hard as I possibly can.
Break out the Bam Bam Club.
Wow. What a battle between Fecke and Morgan Hentz, and a wonderful start by the Cornhuskers. Up 4-0 over Stanford. Stanford leading 2 sets to 1, but Nebraska bouncing right back as they have shown for years and years, and especially this season. That's going to be a net violation, and now it's 5-0 Nebraska. There is no quit in this Cornhusker team, Karch. Remember, they lost 4 out of 5 and then 5 out of 7 in that 2-week stretch after coming back from 2 sets to 1 down against Penn State. Senior leadership pulled this team together, and here they are playing for another championship. Alade, nicely done on the wrist away. Alade now just her 4th kill. And that ball served out of bounds. Serving was a real strength for Stanford and Kathryn Plummer early when they racked up 5 aces in the opening set. Well, Nebraska certainly cleaned that up, only 1 ace since. There you see the error numbers. Nebraska leading 6-1 here in the 4th. Short serve. And Stivrins will take care of that. She break out the fist on that card? I thought I saw the fister.
She did, but more importantly, and we saw this from Coach Cook some last week. Remember, he's the one who's choosing the zone that servers are aiming at, and he has broken out some short serves, and he's creating more trouble for the Stanford passers. This one going a little deeper.
Tied again.
Oh, that was over.
That's good. They got Jenna Gray for being a back row blocker, so that's 14 kills now for Stivrins, hitting a cool 500.
Didn't think the ball had broken the plane of the net, but clearly it had. Stivrins with a great play.
Good serving by Maloney. Covered by Hintz, and that's an easy play to call double contact on Jenna Gray. And the Nebraska fans, who travel awfully well, are right back into this. A 9-1 lead here in the 4th. So after Stanford quite easily won the 3rd set, here come the Cornhuskers. Timeout called by Stanford. Michaela Fecke, we were looking at the numbers card in between sets. Okay, she's the offensive star for Nebraska, but as far as her receiving game, she has been absolutely lights out.
She's passing 84%. That's an astronomical number. And that great first contact. In volleyball, we would just call that a pass. It's officially a service reception, but that puts the setter in just the spot you need to run your offense.
Does Michaela Fecke shine the brightest in championship matches? Yes, she does. 15 going back to her freshman year. Let's go over to Holly.
Well, guys, I'm in the Stanford huddle right now, and very impassioned speeches from 2 key players. Jenna Gray just telling her team, look, we have learned this lesson before. When we start to fracture, things do not go our way. She said, we have to do this together with poise and communication. And then Kathryn Plummer, who is usually not one of the vocal leaders on this team, just got very animated and very passionate. They can feel themselves pulling apart right now. That's something that happened in the semifinal last year against Florida. They had learned from that mistake, but they can sense things pulling too far apart right now. Everything was about coming together in this moment, down 9-1 in set 3.
And they had a moment they had to work through in the regional final last weekend at Stanford against a Penn State that was bringing a lot of game and putting them under great stress. They were down 16-11 in the second, and they had the same kind of talk. Coach Hambly was saying, look, how do we want this to end up? Do we want this to be different than that semifinal loss the year before against Stanford, against Florida?
Coming quickly out of the timeout, Alade once again.
Stanford doing a much better job of handling that short serve. Alade not trying to touch it. She runs her offensive route, and very effective doing so.
Well, if you're going to fall behind big, you better do it early. Nice swing by Jazz Sweet. Boy, is she playing well. John Cook told us that he thought his Nebraska team was the most improved on the year, and one of the reasons for that is the way Jazz Sweet and Lexi Sun are playing in the tournament. Both of their numbers way above their season averages. 10-2 is the big lead as Megan Miller comes on to serve again. Fitzmaurice been really good off the right side and tattoos that right on the sideline for her 14th kill. Fitzmaurice has just been spectacular.
14 on 29 swings. Been huge, and remember, she was the one who shut down, helped shut down that BYU, that potent offense 2 days ago.
Stivrins working off the edge. That's a good matchup. Stivrins at 6'4" on the slide working against Mcclure. (11-3) is the Nebraska lead. Good read by Stivrins.
They were caught surprised a few times earlier, Paul. Not surprised anymore. This best blocking and defending team in the nation.
It's the 8th stuff block so far for Nebraska, 11 for Stanford. Campbell has just been superb. The 6'4" freshman again. We'll look at her numbers.
Yep, she's been so effective. Nebraska just sent 2 blockers her way. They're not respecting Mcclure as much on the left side.
10 of 18, hitting .500.
Another great first touch by Michaela Fecky to allow her offense to run so crisply. I think Stanford's got to get away from serving toward Michaela Fecky.
Well, Kevin Hambley, and we'll get a shot of it, he's got a pad in his hand. He's got all the numbers right in front of him. Exactly what we're seeing. Fecky now up to 85% perfect pass. That is lights out.
The only thing I could be thinking is he's thinking that's not sustainable. At some point we're going to break her down, but right now that's not happening.
Come on, Kevin. There's the pad. Yeah, there we got it. It tucked under his arm. He's got his team's own stats. He's got some rotational matchups. He's got the opponent's numbers as well. And he's got some decisions to make probably about his serving strategy. Off of Fecky this time. And missed out of bounds. 13-6 now is the advantage for the defending champion Cornhuskers. Stanford on a 31-match winning streak, 33-1 overall, their only blemish at Provo this year. 3-2 to BYU. Ace serve! Sydney Wilson, the 6-foot sophomore out of Toronto, dials up the ace. And now a timeout called by Nebraska. Even with the big lead, John Cook certainly in a must-win situation is going to leave absolutely nothing to chance. Timeout called by the Cornhuskers, trailing 2-1, but on top 13-7. On Saturday, December 29th, the college football playoff semifinals will get us one step closer to crowning a national champion. First at 4 Eastern, number 2 Clemson taking on number 3 Notre Dame in the Goodyear Cotton Bowl. And then at 8, Alabama takes on Oklahoma and Heisman Trophy winner Kyler Murray in the Capital One Orange Bowl. The college football playoff, Saturday, December 29th at 4 and 8 Eastern on ESPN and streaming live on the ESPN app. Back in Minneapolis, a lot at stake on the 29th, but even more so tonight, a national championship. It would be a record-setting 8th for the Stanford Cardinal, and they would stand alone as the winningest program in all of history of college volleyball. They're currently tied with Penn State. It would be number 6 for Nebraska, and the 3rd championship in 4 years for Michaela Fecky and the Cornhuskers. There we go. You talked about the Stanford band was escorting the players onto their bus. I went downstairs to take a look, and the tree was out in the middle of 7th Avenue, and everybody said it was okay. They were enjoying it just fine. Coming out of the timeout.
Just a crisp 30-degree weather outside. It's actually been unbelievably nice. The sun's been out.
Oh, relatively speaking, the weather has been marvelous. Fecky again, cross body out of the pipe.
That's what she hits every time. Back to her left side. Let's see from this view which way. Oh, Alade is stepping to her left. She doesn't need to do that. She needs to stay back to her right. That's where that mole attack from the backcourt by Fecky is going to go.
Fecky with her 22nd kill. Sweet down the line. Hence airborne for the dig. Kathryn Plummer taking some pretty conservative swings right here. Hence bails Stanford out. Jazz Sweet tipping over the top and out of bounds.
Boy, Morgan Hence. Remember, she plays with the elbow pad, the knee pads, the thumb pad. She needs it all the way. The floor needs pads. She's going to hurt those floor marks.
Her landing gear got worn out long ago. Good serve, tough serve. And quickly to a point for Jenna Gray and Stanford. And they are creeping and crawling back in.
Which is why Coach Cook called that timeout earlier. He does not want, if at all possible, to let this deficit shrink.
Getting off of Fecky a little bit, serve receive. That ball blocked off of Plummer, but just out of bounds. Give the kill to Lexi Sun. Remember, to start this set, Nebraska went out 4-0, 9-1. Timeout called, and now we're standing at 15-9. Stanford leading 2-1. Lexi Sun now with her 5th kill, 27 swings to get there.
This is that rotation that Stanford came out to start the match, struggling so much. Jenna Gray in the right back. Kathryn Plummer hitting in right front, and they move her over now. They changed the formation because they like Plummer hitting on the left side of the court.
Sun working on Plummer. What a nice set to Jazz Sweet. Hitting high hands again. Kenzie Maloney, Megan Miller, Haley Densberger, really doing a good job setting the off ball.
They are putting her in such a great position. You want to keep that ball a little inside the sideline, a little off the net. That's how she can navigate around that big block of Alade.
Another good set in transition, but that ball missed just out of bounds.
Another well-placed second contact. A little off the net, a little away, a little inside. Becky just missing cross court.
Do you see Stanford appropriately adjusting their block more into the cross court against Becky?
I think Hence came up with a few more. I don't see that they're changing it so much. They're still giving her a lot of court to try to dig.
Not a pretty contact. That ball's still alive.
That looked down.
I thought it was as well. We might have a challenge if Stanford loses this point, and they did.
Before the challenge, the referee's smart, asking for some help from the other 3 officials.
Yeah, this is really good work by the official. That's not his call. He's watching the play above the net, the first referee. He's got help from the second referee and the 2 linesmen, and that ball was down. And that's especially good work. And we've talked about it throughout the course of the tournament because that saved Stanford a challenge. Each team has 2 challenges remaining.
That's the right call.
Oh yeah, that ball's down.
That's the right call. You're right. He cannot see. His view is directly over or on top of the ball. Couldn't see the bottom at all.
Sweet again. Jazz Sweet now with 10 kills on 26 swings.
And give the freshman setter, Nikki Hames, credit for that. They like that matchup. Sweet against the weaker blocker, Megan Mcclure.
After a very poor offensive performance by the Cornhuskers when they hit just 0-27 in the 3rd. Back in a very good rhythm here. Nice dig by Sun.
Great hustle.
Tight pass. Stivrins down for the Cornhuskers.
Wow, Kenzie Maloney, love the never die attitude, just pursuing relentlessly.
Nothing's getting to the floor without a fight. Ball set a little bit tight. Stuffed straight down by Fecky. Huskers in complete control here in the fourth.
Paul, you talked about it. We haven't had a 5-set match in an NCAA final in 8. There have been 4 3-0s, 4 3-1s. Might get that this evening.
Last was in 2009. Mcclure again, looking for high hands, misses it there. 21-11, a huge lead for the Nebraska Cornhuskers.
And that Penn State-Texas matchup in 2009 was a classic. Texas going up 2-0, Penn State hearing it from Coach Rose in the intermission, coming back to win 15-13 in the 5th.
Off the top of the tape and away from Maloney and down, but Nebraska can breathe a little easier. They're going to close out this 4th set, and then we'll play a 5-set tiebreaker to 15. But now the script has been flipped. What is Stanford trying to accomplish in the latter stages of this 4th set now that they've fallen to this big deficit?
Ooh, another too close.
Nice play out of the middle once again by Campbell, having a tremendous championship match.
Stanford's got to get its offensive rhythm back. They can't depend just on Adriana Fitzsimmons.
Fecky continues to be so solid in the attacking phase. We expected that, but look at the way she's passing the ball. Off a little bit, but now 77% perfect pass. That is remarkable. 22-13.
Yeah, her season average is well under 60.
Touch dug by Maloney. Fecky will track that down. Off the block and out of bounds. One of the things I've noticed in this set, Karch, is Kathryn Plummer, to me, looks to be conserving some energy. She knows her team is way down. She's tipping some balls and sort of, I think, anticipated about a third of the way through that this might go 5. You agree with that?
I don't. And the reason I say that is there are times when she looks like that. She just doesn't play with a super high energy, super vocal look. She's a quieter player, but certainly one who can carry a big load.
Stivrins with a new career high, 17 kills. Pretty good time to do it. Nice stab by Hames.
Oh.
You wanted Sun to take a swing?
I did.
What a battle between these bros.
Look for Plummer out of the middle.
There it is. Good call, Karch. Number 2 in white, Kathryn Plummer. To her standard, a pretty quiet night. 15 kills on 49 swings. Hitting 143.
Yeah, on the season, she's almost at 290. So well below that. Credit Nebraska's serving and blocking.
Fecky off speed. Hentz is there. Oh, and again. Stivrins with another kill. Set point. Dinsberger, set point number 1. The block and down. Let's go 5. Cards what turned it around for Nebraska in the fourth.
Much better service pressure, great locations, and how about Kenzie Maloney, that chase, inspiring her team, never quitting on the ball.
Volleyball royalty has come to the Twin Cities. Nebraska and Stanford, and the crown awaits a fifth-set tiebreaker.
Both know the championship feeling. A classic in the making. The dominant Cardinal are looking to add one more trophy to the shelf. The defending champs fighting to go back-to-back.
Do you remember how it feels to be young? Do you remember we could be anyone? Well, I miss the beautiful floor of your room. September can't wait too soon. Do you remember how it feels to be young? It feels great, yeah.
This crowning moment will change your life forever. Tonight is what you've been working for. Don't overthink. Play your game.
It feels great, yeah.
Breathe it in and soak it all up, because this will be the best time of your life.
It feels great,
Tied at 2 sets apiece here at the Target Center in Minneapolis. Fifth set tiebreaker about to get underway. Both teams making big time adjustments. Stanford was first. They controlled the third set 25-16. And then look at what Nebraska did to turn it around. They hit 0-27 in the third, 4-12 in the fourth. And let's take a look at the last 3 champions. And they've got something in common, Karch. It involves either Nebraska or it involves Stanford. First, Nebraska over Texas. Michaela Fecchi as a freshman was the most outstanding player. And then Kathryn Plummer. 5 freshmen around Inky Ajanaku and the Stanford Cardinal, also a winner. And then it was last year, why not us, the Nebraska Cornhuskers over the Florida Gators. So once again, what's at stake? Stanford can set themselves apart with their 8th, Karch. And into this 5th set, it's abbreviated. If you're John Cook, if you're Kevin Hambly, what are you telling your teams?
Well, if you're John Cook and you have Michaela Fecchi on your team, you've got to have her start in the front row. You can get her more chances up there. So I would expect her to start at left front. I'd expect Stanford might change and try to get Plummer up there sooner. They haven't been able to get any production out of their other left side hitter, their other outside hitter, Megan Mcclure.
And once again, it'll be all about serving and passing and playing, once again, under extreme pressure. A 5th set tiebreaker between Nebraska and Stanford. Let's go over to Holly Rowe once again.
I had a chance to listen in to both teams' huddles before this decisive 5th set. For Stanford, Morgan Hand said, this is what we've been working for. We have to want it more, but we have to do it together. For Nebraska, their senior leader, their captain, Michaela Fecchi, said, we have to come out being aggressive. This is what we live for. She gave her team a big smile. They're having fun. They don't feel the pressure. They're embracing this moment.
Thank you, Holly. Stanford, once again, the #1 overall seed. Nebraska, the #7 overall seed. And a reminder, the first championship to go 5 sets since 2009. We were hoping for it. A lot of people expected it, and we've got it. 5th set tiebreaker to 15. 2 challenges per team remaining. You get 2 timeouts, even though the 5th set is abbreviated to 15, and teams will change sides at 8. And in the 5th set, each team will be allotted an additional challenge. So each team now has a total of 3. That could be very, very important, particularly the way the video replay system has worked out through these championships.
2 days ago, incredibly impactful at a call that led to a 12-all score in the 5th set. Nebraska with Illinois gets overturned, and Nebraska ends up with a 13-11 lead. 2 more points, and they close out the match. Just as we expected, Kathryn Plummer at the net, left front. Michaela Fecchi at the net, left front.
Really good serve to start. Nebraska strikes first with Michaela Fecchi.
I would expect it to be the Fecchi versus Plummer show, and you could, I don't know if you could hear that ball, but Michaela Fecky was calling for that ball so loudly. She was screaming out. The name of that set is a go, and she was screaming, go, go, getting her setter to push it out.
24th kill. Fecky's going to get another early look going off speed. Plummer stuffed into the cross court by Schwarzenbach.
That ball got left a little inside. Schwarzenbach, a very savvy adjustment, even though a freshman dove in to take the sharp cross court.
Only a very slight slip of the tongue. Schwarzenbach indeed. That is her nickname, make no mistake. Even as a freshman, one of the best in the Big Ten Conference. What a dig by Sun. Back to Plummer, ball set a little tight. Thrown into the middle of the court, that ball was down.
Plummer's trying everything over there, but she has a very good blocker, Jazz Sweet, in front of her, who checks out of the game just for maybe this one play. But that block is giving Plummer all kinds of trouble.
That was a big side out point possession back to Stanford. Sydney Wilson on. She has one ace so far on the night. Fecky again. Through a seam of the block and down. No surprise, a lot of number 2 in this 5th set, and also a lot correspondingly number 2 in white for Stanford and Kathryn Plummer.
And now Stivrins who's been so effective for Nebraska, also at the net. So they've got lots of offensive weapons to choose from. Meanwhile, Stanford, their only real threat at the net is Kathryn Plummer.
High off the block, and Sun can't get there. 18th kill for Plummer, 2nd so far in the 5th set.
Adriana Morris, Fitzmaurice checks in for Stanford. That's a relief for Kathryn Plummer. Now they have threats on either sideline.
Fitzmaurice has been outstanding, 14 kills, hitting over 300. Should be a chance for Stanford.
Nice up.
Nicklin Hames again. Jazz Sweet playing with a lot of confidence. Missed the block and out of bounds. Tied at 3. Sweet again, and Sweet is rejected. Alade, number 6 in white, closing off the cross court.
It's about time for the freshman setter, Hames, to come back to Michaela Fecky, who's been so huge for Nebraska. Not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 NCAA tournaments in a row.
Fecky has done so much work receiving and attacking, and maybe it's starting to take a toll, Karch. Passing exceptionally well, but that was her 25th attempt and 64th swing. Timeout called by Nebraska, a 5-1 run for the Stanford Cardinals. So teams go to the sideline, some adjustments, and a much-needed conversation for the Nebraska Cornhuskers tonight after the New Orleans Bowl. Stick around for SportsCenter for the latest Bowl Mania highlights, the AFC playoff picture, and LeBron and Lonzo join Elite Company. That's all coming up tonight after the New Orleans Bowl on SportsCenter. Back with Holly Rowe on the sideline, Karch Kirai, I'm Paul Sunderland. Thanks for joining us once again for this championship. I was here 30 years ago when Texas beat Hawaii in the finals. That was over at Williams Arena. I mean, look at these crowds the last 2 days. Just under 18,000 for the semifinals on Thursday, and standing room only tonight for this championship.
And that 1988 win was a historic one. The first time a non-West team, either West Coast or Hawaii, had won a title. And that was a precursor to see that teams from all over the country are capable of winning, and players, great players, are coming from, whether it's the Chicago area, or Florida, or everywhere in between. Volleyball has grown so much that you can find those quality players, those top recruit type players from any region of the country.
18,113, I'm being told officially.
Wow.
So thank you, Minneapolis and the Twin Cities area. Nebraska fans, Illinois fans were here, Stanford fans. Jenna Gray coming out of the timeout, 5-1 run for the Cardinal.
Yep, Stanford's chosen to try to make Fecky do more of the work, serving her short, shortening up her attack approach.
Coming out to Fecky again. Over the top of the block, and a touch is called. Give the kill to Michaela Fecky. Look at that, 26 kills, 11 digs for Fecky. Coming on once again, Megan Miller, who's really been a force at the defensive end.
Stanford now has a much better matchup. They have Plummer against the smaller block of Haynes.
Alade left unguarded. Did Stivrins vacate?
She did. Stivrins was thinking Plummer all the way. Good deceptive choice by Jenna Gray at the setting position.
Stivrins rocketing again, this time off Alade. What a championship match this first team All-American sophomore from Arizona is having. A career high 19 kills. Stanford leading by 1. Both teams have their challenges, all 3 remaining, and their 2 timeouts. They'll change sides at 8. Fitzmaurice missed it out of bounds. A rare mistake for number 12 in white.
Fecky coming up with a tough serve to create the scoring chance.
And drifts that one out of bounds. She was trying to get back to Plummer after serving the previous ball to Morgan Hintz. 7-6, Stanford with the lead. Another first-team All-American, twice Pac-12 Libero of the Year, Morgan Hintz back at the line. And a two-handed dunk by Nicklin Haynes. Teams will change sides after this point. That was Haynes' first kill of the night. Talk about timing.
It's a game to 8.
Densberger. Oh, and the ball is served out of bounds. Back-to-back service errors. First by Fecky and then by Densberger. The teams will change sides. Play is supposed to be continuous. Teams are getting right back out on the floor. Be sure to join us for live post-game championship trophy presentation. That ceremony will come up immediately following the conclusion of this championship match on ESPN3. What's at stake? Stanford tries to set themselves apart in the world of college volleyball with their 8th title. They're currently tied with Penn State. For Nebraska, it would be back-to-back, and their 6th overall. Good pass. Campbell, that ball was on the floor. Wow, a questionable decision that time by Haynes to go on 2.
I think she was hoping that there would be hands in front of her and she could throw the ball in. That ball was too close, and she had no other choice but to put it back across the net.
Good pass again. Sun, off speed into the middle of the court. Really good shot. Excellent shot.
And what made it so deceptive is that she prepared for a full swing. She pulled her elbow way back, and that fooled even Morgan Hentz, who's got a nice ability to read the game.
Perfect pass, one-on-one, but mistimed on the outside. Sun off the block and out of bounds, and we're tied again, now at 9.
This is a tough rotation for Stanford because Mcclure hasn't been very effective, and if they don't get a good pass, their only other choice is maybe to set Kathryn Plummer out of the back court.
Campbell, what an aggressive swing, just ripping wrist away off the edge of the block. Campbell has been fabulous. 14 kills on 28 swings.
And this is the point of the match in this 5th set that Stanford wants to have Kathryn Plummer, National Player of the Year, at the net. Nebraska wins one more point, and they'll have Michaela Fecky at the net also.
Dug by Hentz, coming out to Plummer. Ball set deep. Down the line and out of bounds. A touch. That touch in the backcourt called against Nebraska. The Nebraska coach is up off the sideline. Did you touch it? You can see that John Cook already has the challenge card in his hand. He just put it down, meaning his players told him that there was a touch.
It was Michaela Fecky in the backcourt who touched that ball.
So now Stanford leading 11-9.
Let's see the net touch also.
Yeah, that's great. A great look off of Lexi Sun. Capri Davis, just like in the 5th set in the semifinals against Illinois, number 9 in black. A huge clutch kill.
And this is a matchup that's given Kathryn Plummer lots of trouble. Jazz Sweet checks back in. She's been putting up a great block.
Campbell again. Off the top of the block and down. Holly Campbell just tremendous under pressure. She's got 15 kills, Fitzmaurice with 14. 12-10. Stanford 3 points away from their 8th championship, and Nebraska will use one of its 2 allotted timeouts. First 5-set championship since Texas and Penn State back in 2009. We thought it would be exactly like this. The first couple of sets very close indeed. And then Stanford took advantage of Nebraska as they fell off the pace 25-16 in the 3rd. But then it was Nebraska, as you knew they would, came right back and they drilled Stanford 25-15 in the 4th to set up this 15-point tiebreaker. Stanford won their first ever title in 1992, then won again in 94, back-to-back in 96 and 97, 2001, 2004, and 2016. And one woman has been part of it all. Denise Corlett, in her 30th year on the Stanford sideline as an assistant coach, has been part of each and every championship. Holly, take it away. More on Denise Corlett.
Well, I asked her today which of all those 13 appearances here in the national championship were her favorite, and she said all 7. I think you know what I mean by that. And of course, she means the 7 championships that they won.
Morgan Hentz with a career-high 31 digs. Let me correct something very importantly. I'm being told that Nebraska has no timeouts remaining. Stanford 12-10. Nebraska fans on their feet. Good pass. Fecky demanding the ball. Good set to Plummer.
Nice up.
Fecky again, tough chance. Do you go to Alade? No, the tip. Jenna Gray on 2. Four-one run for the Cardinal. 2 points away. Just out of bounds. Wow, maybe a challenge. Why not? You've got 3 of them left, and it's 13-11. Why wouldn't you challenge this? This is huge.
Paul, those last 2 serves she hit were rockets. Really impressive how assertive she was at this point in the match.
Ooh, wow. Wow.
That's a good challenge to make the referees have to take a close look.
Any part of the ball on any part of the line. The video evidence has to be conclusive in order to overturn. We had the pancake in Minneapolis last week when Minnesota fell to Oregon, and then the touch in the semifinals in the 5th set. Wow.
Give Wilson credit. Those 2 serves coming out of that Nebraska timeout. Really aggressive. What do you think, Paul?
Very, very. I would not want to be making this call. No, thank you. I'm glad I'm sitting right here.
As you said, conclusive evidence.
Well,
and you know what? I'm glad I'm sitting next to you.
Absolutely.
I do not want a part of that call.
Absolutely.
Whoa.
Wow.
Man. Remember, the ball, when it lands, flattens a little, which gives it just a touch more chance to actually make contact with any part of that sideline.
The ball, remember, was called out, so it would be point possession to Nebraska. Wow. The scores table is being apprised of the decision. And the ball is called an ace. Wow. 3 championship points now for the Stanford Cardinal. Wilson back at the line. Got to go to Fecky. Into the cross court and down. 1 match point save. Remember, all the way back to the 1st set, Cart. Similar situation. Stanford had 3 set points, and they had to go to OT to close it out. Nebraska's not going anywhere, but they need to make a block or a dig right here, or serve an ace. Net violation called against Kathryn Plummer. Here comes Nebraska. Timeout called by Stanford.
All that set, not enough space off the net. We call that a trap set in volleyball, and it was just inches away from the block. Kathryn Plummer was trying to run to a different spot on the court, but it was not effective with a set that close.
Stanford still with 2 championship points. Plummer with 19 kills. She'll hit on the left side. We saw Stivrins vacate and leave Tammy Alade all alone. Do you think about going to Alade here on a good pass, Karch?
On a perfect pass, I would think about doing that, because most everybody on the Nebraska team and lots of people in the gym are thinking this ball has to go to the national, two-time reigning National Player of the Year, Kathryn Plummer.
And pressure on the outstanding senior libero, Kenzie Maloney, going back to serve right now. You got to serve in, but you still have to serve tough. $18,000 on their feet. They did go to Alade. Fecky. Mcclure for the win. Stanford stands alone with their 8th title. We might have a challenge. Let's slow this down for a minute. There might be a challenge, a 3-meter line violation. The kill by Mcclure. She was a back row attacker. This happens all the time in international volleyball. Why go into the locker room with a challenge still available to you? So they're going to check to see whether or not Megan Mcclure was legally behind the 3-meter line. What did you see, Karch?
A couple of surprising plays. Jenna Gray trying to force the ball to Alade early in that rally and then setting Mcclure. When I watched her, it looked as though she had clearance behind the 3-meter line. Let's see if there's space.
Yeah, she's legal. She's legal. I understand the challenge, but she's legal. Stanford are your champions. What a match. Kathryn Plummer and the Stanford Cardinal, congratulations on their 8th all-time title and the 2nd for this class. Plummer, Hintz, Gray, Fitzmaurice, Morgan Hintz, a career-high 32 digs. Just a tremendous championship match. They win their 2nd title in the last 4 years. And most of that class has another year still to go. And what a marvelous season, of course, for the Nebraska Cornhuskers. They were going for their 6th overall title and came up just a little bit short. Just an unbelievable battle between these two marquee programs. Let's go to Holly Rowe with Kathryn Plummer.
Well, Kathryn Plummer, you guys came in and won this national championship as freshmen, and so maybe you thought it would be easy. But what was hard about repeating this feat on this court tonight?
I think the hardest part was that we knew how it felt and we wanted to do it again, and we put expectations on ourselves. This year we just went in with an open slate, and I think we just played with no hesitation and no fear, and we got the W today.
There was some hesitation in the set 4. They came out and smoked you in set 4. What was said in those moments to regroup in set 5 to come out and get this trophy?
Yeah, I think Nebraska taught us a little lesson. We smoked them in set 3, and they came back really tough in set 4. And we tried to do the same thing in set 5, and I think we executed at a really high level.
For so many of you who have tasted this before, it was an important dump by Jenna Gray just now. Your setter has been so much to this team. How do you describe how she has led you to this moment?
Yeah, she's the best leader a team could have. She knows when to bring it, she knows when to lay off, she knows when to throw in a joke every now and then. And she sets our hitters like we want to, and she just leads our team to success every time.
Two-time national champs, how does that sound?
Oh, sounds pretty good to me.
Thank you, Kathryn.
Sorry.
Cause for celebration and congratulations to Kathryn Plummer and Morgan Hentz, named most outstanding player of these championships. Michaela Fecky, what a performance in her final match in a Nebraska uniform, Parch. 27 kills, 12 digs, passed the ball lights out, served wonderfully well. Kenzie Maloney was superb also. Just a magnificent championship match between these two incredible programs. Let's go back to Holly Rowe now with a Stanford coach, Kevin Hambly, winner of his first NCAA title.
Well, Kevin Hambly, you've been in this situation before with your Illinois team, but you come to Stanford, you inherit all this talent fresh off a national championship. What have you done to take them back to this height?
Well, I mean, Stanford's always going to excel, so it's much more about the players that we have and the job that Denise and John did when they were recruiting. And we got the talent. What's good and what took a while is for them to buy into how we wanted to change the offensively and defensively. And you know, last year I don't think we were ready for this, and this year, you know, we went after it, and they did a great job of just being committed to playing better defense, which paid off tonight, and then being committed to being aggressive all the time and creating swings and all that. And you saw it, KP took a big swing at the end, and we scrapped, and I'm really proud of the way that they came back after that fourth set. That's hard to turn that around. And I'm just rambling because I don't know what else to say.
Well, what I wanted to ask you was about that set 4, because they had their backs against the wall. They were flat.
Yeah.
And how did you help them regain some momentum, or how did they take it?
Well, they're saying a lot to each other because we got great leadership, you know, and that's important. And Jenna and KP and Fitzmaurice and Tam, they're all like, hey, we're in this together. All I said is, like, this is why we play volleyball. You know, this is what you're here. Like, if you're telling me when you were 14 years old that you didn't want to be in this moment, and this is what you dreamed of, this is why you came to Stanford, to be in this moment. So just relax and let's start playing our game and put some pressure on them. And that's all we said.
You've done so much in this game. You were a high-level player at BYU for one of the legends of the game, Carl McCown. Now you're here hoisting a national championship trophy. How does this compare to all the moments you had as a player?
I mean, it's got to be the best, right? I don't know. I mean, yeah, it's got to be the best. It's just amazing. Like, I don't even know how I actually feel about it. I think I need some time to let this settle in. Just how long this journey is. I think part of me is sad that it's over because I love coaching these kids, and it's like I'd love to continue to play with these guys. And Tammy Alade is going to go, you know, and she's a warrior, and it just bums me out a little bit, but I'm also elated at the same time. So I'm just a total range of emotions right now, just to be totally honest with you.
Thank you so much. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, yeah.
Stanford over Nebraska, 15-12 in the 5th. Let's take a look back at championship point. There was a little bit of hesitation there, but off of the dig, going to Mcclure out of the back row, which I think surprised a lot of people, Cart.
It sure surprised me. I was thinking Plummer all the way. Mcclure slipped it through, and again, that was that career-high 30-second dig by Morgan Hentz to get them the chance for match point.
And how fantastic was Adriana Fitzmaurice, 14 kills, and the freshman Holly Campbell with 15 kills. Let's go back over to Holly Rowe.
Well, players and coach said that it was the defense that won this championship. And Morgan, I mean, time after time, you're midair crashing into the court. How do you describe inside of you what makes you go after the balls like you do?
It's my teammates, really. They make me want to go for every ball. I know they're working their butts off on every single play. And if I don't, I'm doing a disservice to them.
You kept getting ball after ball up. Michaela Fecky, one of the best to ever play, is really a challenge for you guys. And yet you found a way. In that last set, you had some incredible digs. Tell me what was going through your mind in that last set.
Well, first of all, Michaela and the whole Nebraska team were amazing, and they put up an amazing fight tonight. Congrats to them on an amazing season. I think it was just communicating with each other and just taking it one point at a time, staying patient and waiting for our time and going after it.
You guys won this as freshmen, so it seemed like it would just be another one the next year, and it wasn't. How does this compare to winning it your freshman year?
I don't know what to say. I'm speechless. It's an amazing feeling. It's looking back and seeing that all your hard work paid off, especially our team.
like, I can't describe how much I love them and the chemistry they have off and on the court. They're amazing.
All right, I have a feeling there'll be a pretty good party in Huntsville tonight. What do you think?
I think there will be.
Population in Huntsville is going up. It was one. Hopefully we can join as well as the Stanford Cardinal celebrate their 8th NCAA championship. And as a quick reminder, they beat Penn State in the regional final on their way to the national semis and championship. So now it is the Stanford Cardinal standing alone among them all. And Holly Campbell was absolutely superb. Your thoughts on this championship, Karch? And it was interesting to hear from the players and coaches those 2 flip-flop sets in the 3rd and 4th when both teams took turns really taking the other out. So it made for a really interesting mental setup in the 5th set.
2 really hard-fought close sets, and then the wheels fell off a little for each team. So credit both teams for being able to rein it back in and get back to their game to where it was very close in this 5th set, down until about 10-all.
You can tell how much these players are devoted to one another, the affection and care that they have. Nebraska wouldn't go away, and then Stanford and the Cardinal fought right to the end to win the championship. 3 sets to 2 over the Nebraska Cornhuskers. What a championship. Thank you, Minneapolis. Once again, our final score. Stanford over Nebraska for the championship. Coming up next is college basketball between Baylor and Arizona. For more from the trophy presentation ceremony, be sure and tune into ESPN3. For Holly Rowe, Karch Kirai, and our entire ESPN crew, thanks for joining us. I'm Paul Sunderland. Stanford stands alone.